Hey everyone, Rebecca and Audrey here from Inbox Academy. Today we are going to talk about a question that we get asked a lot, and it is how do you navigate different ESPs as an email marketer? Or, do you just stick to one ESP? So we're going to dig in.
Yeah, so I think it's a really common misconception that people think that they really have to learn just one email service provider and that they can't, then work in a lot of different ESPs. I think that there's a lot of people that will specialize in, just one. And for a really, really beefy program like Klaviyo, that can be advantageous. But really, as an email marketer, once you understand the general concepts, the strategy, some of the terminology, you can apply those skills to every ESP that exists. And I think, Rebecca and I would both say that we're confident that we can jump into any email program. If it says it's an email program, we will be able to navigate it and figure out what we can and can't do.
Once you have that confidence of the ESPs and the language, and you feel like you could jump into anything, for me, I also feel like I could jump into any CRM because in the B2B world, a lot of times I'm asked to go into their CRM, which is more of an overall management of their company, right? And within that, they have a section for their email marketing. It's not always what we recommend, right? We do recommend having an ESP, but um, I did wanna say that, like, you have the confidence to get into any ESP, but I also have the confidence to get into any CRM and find the same similar language and be able to navigate the email marketing on that end as well. So,
Yeah, I liken it to being able to drive a car. Like there are so many different makes and models of cars, right? If you get into a rental car or so like a friend's car that you're borrowing and the all of the knobs and the buttons are in completely different places, right? But you still know how to drive a car. The main gears are there in the same place. You know where the gas pedal is and the steering wheel is. And it's kind of really just like that in an email service provider. So when you jump into an unfamiliar backend, sometimes you look at that control panel and you're a little bit lost when you first look at it. But when you look a little bit closer, you see certain things that you realize, oh, that's got to be the volume control. Oh, this has to be, the radio button or the heated seats.
yeah, so we actually just bought a brand new vehicle. Well, not brand new, new to us. We're used vehicle people all the way. But we just bought a family vehicle, a Honda Pilot, and, it took me probably embarrassingly long to find out where the windshield wipers were because I was so used to my truck, and it took me forever, and I hit all the wrong stuff, and I had, like, just a bunch of, like, blinking lights and things going on, and I was like and it was raining, so I was trying to figure it out as I was trying to get down my driveway, and it was raining, and, it took me a little so I do wanna say but I figured it out, right? It's all the same thing. But I've noticed that's me in a new ESP. Sometimes it takes a few minutes, right? It's not like you can't figure it out, but it can take a few minutes. So I also want to say, like, give yourself a little grace in that. Like, if you're jumping into a new project and you're navigating a brand new ESP, give yourself just a little bit of wiggle room to kind of like poke around, figure things out, and kind of get familiar and comfortable with it for a few minutes before you jump in.
Yeah, and the good news is it's not usually raining inside of an ESP. So you've got some
Yes.
time to sit and figure it out, give yourself a little bit extra time. If you're starting in a new ESP, if you think, a project would usually take you half an hour to just set up this little thing, it might take you a little longer that first time. But the good news is too, there's a
Yeah.
ton of help guides, right? There's basically these giant manuals and they're all, search engine optimized. So you can actually find what you're looking for. You don't have to use the index of a manual anymore. Um, and you can very easily Google these things, or especially we recommend going to that particular program's help guides because they will have it in the language you need. And that's another point that we, wanted to talk about is a lot of the language will look different. And that's the part that I kind of liken to the buttons being in different places. There might be slightly different terminology For instance, some programs will call like an email automation an automation. Other programs will call it a flow. Other programs will call it a sequence. And there's some differences there that'll pop up, but they're
Mhm.
pretty easy to figure out once you know kind of what you're looking for
Yeah.
in general.
And I would say just, obviously once you figure those things out, we talked about giving yourself a little bit of grace as you figure it out. Once you do figure it out, you really don't forget. Like I have been in a handful of some random like ESPs that are not very common. And there was one I had to jump into and do some work recently. And I have not been in this ESP in probably 2 years. And I instantly like remembered where everything was when I opened it and it just all clicked. So it's usually just that first time too. I just want to like throw that in there. Like you got to give yourself a little grace, a little extra time, find the common language, figure out what they're talking about, and then just know that it's not going to take you that long the next time you jump in there.
Yeah, and the other good news is that even if you don't exclusively work with one ESP, if you have, a particular ideal client, you tend to work with clients in certain industries, you will actually find that you are using the same ESPs over and over again. It might just be a certain subset of them. For instance, in the coaches and course creators realm, you're usually going to run into people
Yeah.
using ConvertKit, now rebranded as Kit, or Kajabi, which is kind of similar to the CRM situation. It's not a true ESP, but it's a course platform that includes an email service in there. People will be using ActiveCampaign, but you're very, very rarely ever going to run into a course
Yeah.
creator that's using Klaviyo. Now, if you're in, e-commerce, you're going to be in Klaviyo over and over again. You might be in MailChimp and you might be in MailerLite. Those are going to be more common with
Yeah.
product-based businesses.
So
Yeah,
now that you can see that navigating one ESP can make it super easy to navigate many ESPs, I hope that you're not feeling intimidated by that. And just know that you don't have to be specializing in one. You can learn multiple easily. You just got to give yourself a little bit of grace as you navigate the new language and some nuances between them.
absolutely. And, if you do find that you're running into roadblocks and things like that, that's exactly why we offer support in within our community, but also without. So, you can drop questions to us, hit us up in our email. We're always hanging out in the inbox and we would love to see you there. So don't forget to subscribe and like and follow.